Hello there everyone and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. You may note my voice sounds just a tiny bit odd right now. I forgot to plug in my microphone for the first about 2 minutes of recording tonight. And rather than throwing it out, I figured I'd just do a quick voiceover so that you guys know what's going on, because there's some critical maneuvers. So what I'm doing right now is examining where Minmus is in its orbit and realizing that I need to match my inclination with it, similar to the way that you match inclinations with a satellite when you're trying to transfer to it. So I'm just planning the burn that's going to do it and showing you how I lined up the ascending node and descending node right where that marker is. That's where the descending node is before the burn. And showing you how I basically, if you line up the ascending node and the descending node through the planet, that gives you the axis upon which you need to rotate your orbit. Just helps to organize lining up. So, as you might recall, I've got the booster from the earlier attempt, basically from the lander core, attached to this thing, and I have decided to activate all the engines, including the poodle in the middle, and fire the engines up low throttle to do this inclination adjustment and to see how viable this thing is going to be. It turns out to be what I would describe as a very significant challenge doing anything with this ship as it's currently designed. I'm definitely never going to do a ship of this design again. I will put a proper docking port on the back of the lower stage, because you see how it's starting to wobble in the middle. The linkage between the two ships is just too weak to do what I'm doing right now. So I mean, there might have been a better way to do this. In retrospect, I could have taken the engine portion of the ship and flipped it around. I think it actually had a probe core on it, so in retrospect, this is looking back after I finished recording the next, not just this episode, but the episode after. Oh dear. Yeah, if you hear a crying girl, my daughter, oh dear. My daughter figured out how to climb out of her crib this evening. And we are having some serious arguments about bedtime up there. Anyways, yeah, so I'll just have to leave that on there. I don't have time to not record this right now. So I'm just rotating this thing around, getting ready for the burn. As you can see, it's pretty wobbly and unstable. And in a few moments, we're going to do the burn. It's really, with the way this thing is currently attached, every time if I rotate this too fast, it becomes a serious torque right in the middle of the join between the two ships. Yeah, definitely never doing a design like this one again. That was a terrible, terrible idea. But hey, live and learn. Live and learn. I've already got an idea of how I could design it better. Yeah. I guess it was a bit more than 2 minutes. It just seems like I'm talking maybe closer to 5 minutes. Not my finest moment, but that's okay. So we're in position, and now we just got a time warp to the node. It's not a super long burn, but it's going to be a challenging one because of the torque, basically the wobble that is existent between these two ships. Yeah, next time I design a ship like this, I'm using the big docking port. Way more stable, way more effective. And there goes our burn. We're now burning to adjust our inclination. And I very rapidly realized that this thing is, one, I can't do it without the SAS on. And boy, oh boy, does this thing use a lot of RCS fuel to do this. Actually an absurd quantity of RCS to keep this full thing stable. So you can see the rockets are burning and slightly overwriting my voice right now, which is just life. Yeah. So yeah, lots of you can see the RCS, the stabilization controls working to try and keep me pointed in the right direction. I'm only at 1/3 power, and this thing just wants to skitter all over the map. This was really an impromptu design, and if I had to go back and do it again, I would definitely design these a lot different. In fact, in the future I will. I'll definitely remember this date, remember this event, and learn from it as is appropriate. So we're just continuing the burn. I'm trying to accelerate it, and you'll see in a second the thing. When I get to about 50% throttle, this thing will start seriously developing a wobble here. I'm trying to speed up this burn so it doesn't take half an hour, but as you can see, it's just starting to wobble a bit out of control. It may not be as apparent in the video, but trust me that this thing is really, just look at how much fuel the thing is using to keep the ship stable. It's just completely, there we go. You see the wobble starting to skitter a bit. So I actually abandoned the burn earlier than originally planned. I get about 3/4 of the way in the inclination adjustment before I abandon this attempt, which I think will be soon. I can't go above 50% throttle or bad things really start happening to this ship. And even at 50%, I'm really risking the ship's stability. So, what happens next is, in a couple of moments, I'm going to look over at my other monitor and notice that a very important box is not checked. And thank goodness I noticed it when I did, because if I hadn't, I would have had to re-record this entire episode, and possibly the additional long block of time I spent recording the next episode, which you'll find out about when we get there. Things get more interesting in this mission than you might anticipate. Anyways, be careful, spoilers and all that. So I'm gonna cut out here. You will rejoin me 24 hours earlier when I'm actually recording this. So see you in a bit. Thanks for your patience. Hello there, everyone. So I forgot to turn on my microphone. So you will have heard a voiceover for the first couple of minutes of this episode. I apologize for that. You didn't miss anything super dramatic. I noticed it in time. I just have to say, if you're recording, a second screen is a really, really valuable thing to have, because you can notice useful things like, oh, gee, record external input is not ticked on Fraps. Anyways, I've got my transit time down to 1 day and 18 hours to a periapsis of 700,000 meters, which is not super close, but it's not bad either. So we have to do that burn in 17 minutes, which means I need to reorient this very fragile craft in anticipation. So let's start by doing this and take advantage of some drift. Now it looks like it's pretty close to being on the horizon, so I should just be able to rotate it very gently. So it's a 3-minute and 50-second burn, which means we split it at 2 minutes on each side. Should be pretty close to right, which is cool. All right. Now, oh, hold on. We're still flying from here. Yeah, looks like it. These are the engines that will fire for this burn. I have no idea if they have enough juice for the job, but once they are empty, we will actually transfer every drop of RCS fuel into the primary system and use the and then switch which tank is active, because there is no reason for us to get there without an empty tank of gas. That would be silliness. And that one's in use. Now let me see this one. These should be full because they're disabled, And we can put a little bit more gas into this one right here. And in the meantime, our drift has been just right on the nose, perfect. We're just about at the point where we will arrest our rotation. And then I will be grateful that I quick saved just in case I have miscalculated. Yeah, all the RCS is off. Which way we'll be facing when we actually do our burn. I think we'll be around the right side of the planet. I'm just doing a little more rotation because we're not quite there yet. Just a little further. Just nudging it into position because this linkage I'm really worried about. This was a really risky move, but I think one that was necessary. In the future, I will design this module to accept a docking port, to have a proper docking port. That was a foolish oversight to think that I could get all of this mass there with just this booster stage. But hey, live and learn. Could be worse. All right, quick saved. Okay, we have 15 minutes till the node. Yeah, we'll be facing the right direction, I think. And just have to do some minor final adjustments as we get there. Actually, let me just make sure that we don't go down through the... No, we don't go down through the atmosphere or anything silly like that. Okay, 13 minutes to go and counting down to the 2-minute marker as we come around the planet, oriented straight towards the planet, and then out the other side. The one upside to burning like this is we're actually going to have our solar panels pointing at the sun as we burn. Just an odd little quirk of life. Usually I would have to rotate the ship around for burns. Okay. We are right on mark. Burning in 1 minute. Or slightly, yeah. 1 minute. There we go. Let's do this thing. And let's hope for the best. Okay, just hold her steady. I'm going to try turning off the RCS. Or the... Oh, no. Slow it down. Slow it down. We're going to be in real trouble. Okay, we got to do this. We got to take this easy. Take her easy, big guy. Got all the time in the world to do this. Do not have to do it all at once. Alright, lock it on there. Let's not have any... This is going to be the hardest part right here. We're dealing with a very recalcitrant ship right now. Very recalcitrant indeed. This idea was definitely iffy at best. Hold it there. Hold it steady there. Alright, we can't stabilize this ship while it's under throttle. We're just going to have to hope for the best here. And hope that this linkage here doesn't snap, because this is the one we want to snap right here. This thing was definitely not designed to burn like this, though. Okay. We might have to do a course correction when we get closer. It would not surprise me if this thing winds up being completely misoriented. That is using up a lot of RCS to keep this thing stable. 3 minutes to go. Come on, you. You can do it. during the day. Actually, looks like the ship is holding us reasonably steady. Just got to monitor that RCS tank, because when that empties out, we're going to be in trouble. Hold us on target. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, wrong rotation there. Stop it. Okay, kill the engines. Camera. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, control from here. All right, let's hope we can recover this insanity. Okay. Come on, you can do it. Just don't break. All right, let's just stabilize it quick. There we are. Okay. Just hold it on target there. Come on, we can do it. We can do it. Just don't break. Too much. My word. Okay. This may have been a ill-conceived idea, that's for sure. Okay, lock it on. No, lock it on. Stop it right there. Okay, let's put us in place here. Time warp right there. SAS on right there. All right. Yeah, we're gonna have to sit around 50% throttle for this. It's gonna take longer than I would have liked, but better than the alternative. Having this thing shake itself to pieces or just simply fall apart in the process. It's getting harder and harder to hit our target as we do this. Let's just see how we're doing here. Gosh, we are so far still to go. Stabilizing the thing. Oh, we're starting to lose it. As soon as that wobble starts, we know we're in trouble. Alright, well, we are just going to continue burning and hoping for the best here. And I will bring you back in. Oh dear. That's not good. Well, we might be. This might not work. Just a second. Okay. We're doing a slower burn, but with no RCS or no computer controls here. Sneaking hunch is not going to work the way I would like. Yeah, this thing's going to run out of RCS in no time, so it's way too unstable for the job. Dang it. And no fuel pump to refuel these things, which is really annoying. And we just ran out of RCS. Which means that we're going to have to abandon this tank of gas. So let's, no, stop it. Well, it's rotating where I needed it to rotate anyways. Decouple node. Let's leave that piece of junk right there. Fly from here now. Engines online. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Primary RCS tank online. Just a tiny bit more rotation, and we'll be ready to continue our slightly late but not entirely impossible burn. Okay. It's just going to be a little harder is all. We try things, and sometimes they actually work, and sometimes they go terribly, horribly, terribad, like this one just did. Terribly. All right, stop you right there. And full throttle to the engines. Okay. Round 2. Cross your fingers. Much lighter ship. We're getting a better push out of this thing anyways, so hopefully we can use this setup to adapt to our slight, hopefully the node here will be helping us adapt to our slight failure in planning. Might require just a bit more to match the original plan here, but we're doing actually okay. We got a decent initial push from that mess of a ship. Anyways, just give me... I just gotta pause for 1 second here. And I'm back. My apologies, just had to say hi to Kate. She just got home from work. So, okay, we're not doing so bad. We're still gonna have a tank left in these things. We might be better off than I had expected. But I mean, the other half of this ship kind of gave us what we needed right from the start there, so we might be a-okay. Just doing a slight course adjustment here. Back on track. Well, at least Lars is a pretty contented Kerbal. If he was one of the traditional Kerbals, he'd be screaming. There's about a 1 in 3 chance that he'd be totally screaming right now, which would be pretty hilarious, but... Alright. A slightly higher apoapsis will just get us there a little sooner. We need to just adjust our course just a little, because of course we've got to keep on target now because we're way late for that burn, so we're having to adjust for that small issue. We are getting close, and that's looking pretty good. Just hard to believe that that is going to be out there in less than 30 seconds. In 35 seconds or so. I'm just getting ready to cut the engines here, because this last tiny bit of distance is the sort of critical part. You don't want to get that wrong. Definitely taking a lot more fuel to do this than it probably would have otherwise. Hey, there's a lunar encounter right there. Look at that. The moon has come and gone on this burn. I think we are slightly off course. Does it look that way to you? Looks that way to me. Shoot. Oop, nope, that's it. That's as good as it's going to get. That's, still 15 seconds left. Okay, let's quick save. Quick saving, and then we're going to try finishing this burn. And see what happens. 14 seconds. I don't know what it thinks it's doing, but it's not. Well, let's find out. I don't know what it's doing, but it's... Unless we're getting what's called a free return as we burn here, that's actually not an impossibility with the way this is going. But it looks to me like this thing is not working out the way it should have, and I will just content myself with the slightly late arrival. Because that does not look like the burn I had planned anymore. We're halfway to Mars by now. But that just satisfies an itch of curiosity. Yeah, I think we left too late to actually match the burn that we had planned. That's okay. That at least confirms a suspicion I had. So we will content ourselves with the fact that we get a encounter, and it's just slightly later than originally intended. So we'll take it. We will check our resources. We're facing towards the sun, or will be facing towards the sun for the purposes of battery charging here in just a second. Actually, there's one big upside to the direction of this trip. I think it's almost a sunward trip. It is. It's a sunward trip, which means that we will be pointing in the right direction to recharge the batteries on the trip out. Nice. Just go a little further, and then we will quick save and warp our way to Minmus. Good enough. We are recharging the batteries, and that's the important thing. A quick save. And then out to the map. And let's do a little time warping. Now, if everything is working out right, we should have lots and lots and lots of life support left as we make our way out here. Because this is actually, the cupola was designed for deep space exploration, if memory serves. Oh, here comes, no, that's Gilly. Here comes Minmus. Oh, I hope it's on the first, no, yeah, purple's the third piece of orbit. So no, we're good. We are good, I think. Sure doesn't look like we're going to make it, though, does it? Hard to believe that we have a Minmus encounter of any sort coming up here, but I trust my computer, which says we have a Minmus periapsis of a sort coming up soon. We have incredible quantities of life support left. Okay. We're almost there, so this is an excellent spot to save, because it's always an iffy thing crossing these boundaries here. Whoa, what happened? We must be just barely in a position where we can be captured by Minmus. Absolutely at the fringe of actual capture. 2 hours. Yeah, we're only going to be in Minmus's sphere of influence for a very short period of time. So as soon as we are in, which is going to happen right now. There we go. And that's why we needed to wait. Come on. There. Ooh, too much. Yeah, we might as well bring it down to a reasonable, a more functional periapsis, like, 23 kilometers. There's no reason not to. This burn shouldn't take too long. Let's not fight the SAS as we're doing this. Just make sure we're flying from the right place. Control from here. All right. There's our little ball of ice. 973 left in there. 200, or sorry, 72 left in that. 72 of it's in there, 900 of it's in here. So getting home is not an issue. That is not my concern. Landing and making it back to my ship, on the other hand, that is always a concern. Okay. So we're still 2 hours away from a periapsis, so we need to restrain ourselves even though we are getting close. Okay. Lock it on there. Okay, and let's quick save one more time. I'm a little obsessive about it, but I've already had enough lost time with the previous episode where I misdesigned my where I had so much trouble with my launch systems. 1 hour to go. $50 minutes. We'll give it a time for it to be about let's assume it's about a 4-minute burn again. 4 minutes to get away from Kerbin. It should be at least 4 minutes. Shouldn't be much more than 4 minutes to get into orbit here. Okay. Oh yeah, a lot less than that. Now we know. 45 seconds worth of burn on that engine setup. There we go. Beautiful. Locked on, locked in. Ready to go. Coming into orbit around Minmus. First time a man has been back here in a long time. And this man, he's gonna land on Minmus at long last. A landing on Minmus. Seconds to go. We're about to have an apoapsis for Minmus. We're also just about out of fuel in this inverter tanks. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Nice. Look how low that, we're just going to bring that down a bit more here. Alright, done. We have a lovely little orbit planned, and now we'll set our second, one more marker right here. We'll circularize an orbit around Minmus. Down to there. Beautiful. And then we were going to conduct a little experiment here with this guy right here. Situation, high space. We have not got that one yet. Now let's try something here. Transfer data from that. Or hold on, we need to transfer biometric readings. To the cupola module. Excellent. Now the question will be, that this is going to be the experiment. Can I do that? Can I store more than one piece of data that way? That will be the $1 million, well, not even $1 million question, but certainly a question. All right, let's just do a very steady drift with no arguments from our ship. Lars still has way over 50% of the life support left in this thing. Oh, look at that view of Kerbin. Isn't that amazing? Gorgeous little dot, and hey, there's the moon right there, which I indicated with my mouse. Hopefully not too irritating. So only 9 seconds to burn us into the low Kerbin orbit. That is cool. Best part is if I play my cards right, I can just leave this thing in orbit. I could, if I'd done just a bit more work, like if I'd thrown a pod onto this, could actually have left that in orbit. I think next time I would just bring that with a small solar array and just store it in orbit around Minmus? Hard to say. You never know what the best solutions are. Okay, and let's do the time warp once again, as the old song goes. Okay, 10 hours till a 9-second burn. Definitely need to go a little faster than that. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just slowing it down. Minutes left. We're almost at the point where we want to do this burn and do our final adjustments on the orientation of our... Oh, whoa. Batteries are running low there, Lars. I think you forgot to point your ship at the sun. We'll have to deal with that quick. Only a minute to go. We'll also get a little... Actually, we might as well turn on the poodle here. No, we should use up as much of those engines as we can. Just burn off the last 10 seconds here. And that should do it. Let's see if we have 9 seconds worth of burn left in these engines. That is not quite what I had hoped for, but maybe we can just deal with it and reorient this ship so it's pointing at the sun to make sure we don't kill good old Lars here. He has been a brave explorer for many, many years. Now, you know what? If I don't make this orbit a little lower, I'm going to be in real trouble. So we're definitely going to have to adjust it. We need to bring down the apoapsis without bringing down the periapsis too much, which means we need to do one of those. 30 and 28. Good enough. Just 2 more seconds of gas into this thing, and then we'll be good to reorient the ship to actually recharge its batteries a bit and do some experiments. "11 seconds to this burn. Two, 1. There we go. There we are a little more, and good enough. That's a pretty circular orbit. Now let's find the sun. Get these batteries back to the direction they're supposed to be going, namely upwards. There we go. Our electricity is now on the uptick. Okay. So let's just go a little further here. As much sun exposure as we can get on these things. The more panels we've got sun on, the better this will go. All right, I think that'll do. All right, the batteries are slowly charging. Let's take a high space. We're still in high space over... Wow. The boundary between high space and low space is pretty thin. All right, let's just go around the planet and see if we can get into a low space situation quick here. I don't know if 28 was low enough or not. There we are. Yep, it was. Okay, we were just barely in high space. Slow down, slow down. Biometric readings in low space. Keep that. And transfer biometric readings. Yes! Oh, nice. The cupola can store multiple sets of data. Too awesome. Okay, last little detail. We'll transfer some. I just don't want to forget to do this for later. We want to keep a tiny bit of reserve. So my instinct is that we may be at the end of this episode. I'm not 100% positive. No, you know what? No, this one might be a bit long, but we are putting a Kerbal on Minmus in this episode. We'll get him home. We'll get him home next time. But getting a Kerbal down to that beautiful shiny rock there, that is our priority today. Okay, store that, and then we'll get some electricity into this thing. This is planning for the future. I don't want to. This is planning for our landing in the distant future. Something I don't want to forget to do, because if I do, it will be a terrible thing. Okay, so this guy just needs to pick up the landed on Minmus data. And we can bring that home. All right, quick save there. Now let's hope that our systems activator, it worked perfectly. Everything is now online. Lars, get in that lander. Make sure our computer controls are online. Probe core enabled. You are now, and then recycling unit disabled, and we will. Where are we going to land? We don't have a lot of daylight left, do we? All right, never mind. Cycling unit back online. Get out of there. Transfer. 0. Everything offline. And we'll just transfer a tiny bit of life support back to this thing. We're going to wait until we're around to the coming around to sunrise again. Just get rid of that. And then we're going to plan a landing. Actually, that lake bed there might not be a bad bet. Land somewhere nice and flat. Whoa, 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 whoa. Slow down, slow down. Okay. Let's try it. Quick save. It's time. Okay. Ship online. Kerbal transferred. Recycler disabled while we're away. Save a little fuel here and undock. Now then, transfer to this one. RCS online. Back away from the ship a little. Engines online. What? Why is one of my tanks empty? Well, that's weird and annoying. Okay. Well, let's hope that that won't affect my plans here too much. Let's just hope that the rest of these are full still. That would be a hell of a tragedy, wouldn't it? All right, let's, without any further ado, bring this thing down. Control from here. Should be okay. I mean, it shouldn't use too much fuel, right? All right, we are definitely on a landing trajectory. We're going to bring it down just a bit lower, because I think the lake is an excellent target. And we land definitely short of where we've got targeted usually, as we arrest our horizontal motion. Okay. So we're just going to go down a little bit and then get ready to burn. Yeah, I have an idea here. All right, take it down. Beautiful. just go a bit further here, and then we'll arrest some more. It would be really nice if we knew where we were relative to the surface here in a second. So it thinks we're still orbiting right now. So this lake right here is our target. All right, let's eradicate some more of that horizontal motion. Cool. Looks like we're going to come down right here if I play my cards right. You're still 17 kilometers up. Okay. Okay, getting that towards vertical. There we go. Landing gear out. Wake up, landing gear. Just heading towards the ground here. Beautiful. We're coming down beautifully here. Yes, I am time warping. I know that's not wise, but we'll be okay. Just get yourself back to perfect verticality. Beautiful. Look at that. Like a charm. Just a little further to go. I'm confident that we have a lot more fuel than we did on our lunar landing right now, which is good. I suppose it's because Minmus doesn't have nearly as much gravity. Oh yeah, it won't let us time warp, of course, because that would be a bad idea while you're landing. So we'll just drift our way down to the surface, and a Kerbal will land for the first time on a planet other than the moon in my game series. I think is a pretty cool accomplishment. It's hard to believe there's still 2,000 meters to go on this thing. I wonder how many samples I'll be able to get. That would be cool if I could get more than one sample here. Does not take very much fuel to slow down on this planet, that's for sure. Where's my shadow? I would really like to see my shadow. Still can't see it. That's a little unnerving, but less than 900 meters to go, we should really slow down a bit. There we go. 9 meters per second. A little tiny adjustment to my orientation here. Is that it? That's it right there, isn't it? Yep, that's my shadow. Here it comes. 500 meters to go. Slow down a bit more. Just trying to keep ourselves at a nice steady, well, steady as she goes. 200 meters to go. 100 meters to go. Slow down. Beautiful. This would be just fine. Just fine indeed. Ha! Now is that not a perfect landing? Ladder out. Take biometric readings. Keep those for later. And away we go. It's another giant leap for Kerbal kind. As we land on Minmus, the world of how high can we jump? Holy crap, we can jump into orbit. Let's get ourselves back down here. Holy crap. Okay, jumping is going to be something I will have to be careful with. Alrighty. Let's get a flag down. Because always room to put another flag on a planet to say Minmus landing 1. This place is bluish gray, but it's cool. All right. So in the next episode, we are going to get an EVA report. We'll keep that, and we'll take a surface sample, and we will keep that. And then we will go store some stuff at the ship, and then I will call this an episode and say thank you all very much for watching. And I will see you in the next episode. That's not going so well. All right. Bye for now.